I'm sure Fubs probably pressured you like, yo, you gotta get Jayceeoh on this shit. Part of my job, I was packing orders. I'm like, oh, this is going to Norway. You get a Jayceeoh mix. I had to like earn my stripes, and it took a while. I had to put out like 40 fucking tracks to like people were like, all right, he's for real. Just rowdy as fuck. Like I remember the energy in that room being like insane.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me in the tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales. So, for the record, who the hell are you?
I am Jay Gosher, Jayceeoh, DJ, producer, artist, street kid, just one of those guys.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is a next-level DJ and producer, Jayceeoh. Jayceeoh's DJ sets are a hype misfit mix that burst with energy. We met and worked together while he was living in New York City way back in the Y2K days. He's DJed for famous rappers, played the biggest festivals, and even won Master of the Mix, a VH1 TV show of competing DJs, securing his spot at the top. His mixtapes are notorious, and we go off on that and so much more. Jayceeoh, not only an incredible person, award-winning DJ, not just technically, but creatively, makes his production top tier too. Without further ado, Jayceeoh. And how long have you been DJing?
At this point, I've been DJing probably like 22, 23 years, since like 90, 98 or something, 97.
Did you start in college?
No, I started DJing in 8th grade.
Oh,
Because I was born in LA, then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 7th grade or 8th grade. And obviously I boycotted the fuck out of that. Coming from LA, I'm a SoCal, like Hollywood, West Hollywood growing up. I'm like, what the fuck we moving to Pittsburgh for? But obviously it's like my parents' decision.
Yeah.
But like, I was just like a little skate rat, kid at that time, listening to like, Pantera and fucking Offspring and shit like that. And, I listened to hip hop too. I mean, I listened to a bunch of stuff, but I was just like a little skate kid, graffiti writer, all that shit. And then I moved to Pittsburgh. And that year, like my best friend was this kid who was like a little older than me. He really got me into hip hop. Like we would watch like Def Jam, like comedy, and watch Kid Capri cutting shit up. And just got like super inspired from there. Just my passion, like me and my brother saved up and bought like the shitty from the back of the Source, like the DJ starter pack, which is like some belt drive turntables that you could never scratch on if you in your wildest dreams. And then we sent those back, and I got
some rubber bands underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we sent those back, and then I got like one direct drive turntable that you could scratch on, and one of my parents' shitty ones, and just was, started like that. And then it's just, worked my way up.
So where was your first gig playing out?
I mean, like when I was in high school, like I did like a couple little like, shitty house parties, but no like real gigs, like a couple little hip hop battles, but that didn't really count. My first like club gig was in Boston. I remember it was at a club called Venue, I think. The promoters were these dudes who went to Northeastern with me at the time.
With Julian?
Yeah, Julian, Ben Solomon.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. We all ran the radio station, like the hip hop side of our college radio station, which was the #1 college radio station like in the country. Like,
so was that Jasmine too?
Yeah, Jasmine was there too. Yeah, we all came out of there. So I remember I got booked, and it was like all vinyl set. And I'm coming from being like a kind of like a backpack rap, hip hop DJ to a club gig. And I get there, and then it's like kind of just mains, like what you would consider like a bridge and tunnel, generic club crowd. And I'm coming in there with my like, cutty rap shit and the shit, I mean, I got it done, but it wasn't like, yo, you fucking killed it. I remember that I was supposed to be paid $120 for the set, and they only gave me 100, motherfuckers.
Wow. Do you know how we met?
I feel like we met through Beautiful Decay.
Yeah.
Through Floods and Beautiful Decay, because my brother and Fubs owned and ran Beautiful Decay, and I was in Boston in school. And then they started throwing release parties, and we'd be booked on some of the same parties. I'm sure Fubs probably pressured you like, yo, you gotta get Jayceeoh on this shit.
Yeah. Was he like ever your manager?
Well, kind of like him and my brother were kind of like my managers,
Yeah.
but they were like, you know, because at one point they had like Manifest Music, which was like a little like underground hip hop label, and they had the magazine. And at that point, like I had zero connections to anything in New York City, so they were basically managing me.
When were you living in New York? What years was that?
2006 or 7 to like 2012.
Like where other spots were you playing?
At what?
Besides Sway.
At this point?
Yeah.
Like in New York, I remember, like, I mean, I would get some random, you know, uptown like club shit, but I would play your shit, like Beautiful Decay parties, and I would play at Sutra. I remember playing Sutra a bunch.
Were you on any message boards or blogs?
Oh yeah, Hollertronics, the Holler board.
Yeah.
That was the shit.
I know.
That was like, yeah, I mean, when I first started making like edits and like, you know, mashups and shit, remixes and shit like that, that was just like the best community of DJs all over the world for that. And like, that's kind of like where I first got my notoriety, I guess. The first remix that I got a lot of love for was this like Busta Rhymes, Don't Touch Me Now, like with this Escort record that was some like funky, like dancey shit. I remember that got a lot of love. And then when I launched like the first Super 7 mixtape series, like, and I posted that there, then shit went crazy because, you know, each Super 7 mix is like me featuring, you know, 6. I should pull up, let me see.
Yeah, I remember these.
It was on the first volume because this was like, it's kind of catapulted my shit because after I did this, like all these other DJs were like, oh shit, like I want to do that. And like DJs who I looked up to out of nowhere were reaching out to me to, you know, be on the shit. And that's what kind of like got me touring, just based on the notoriety of this being like one of the, you know, coolest collaborative mix series like in the game. So the first one was me, Steve Wonder, Because, Morse Code, Platter and Benzie, DJ 11. I tried to get people from different parts of the country to kind of like finesse, like, all right, we did this mix, I'm gonna come DJ in the city, you know, it was like a big kind of thing like that.
What other message boards were you on?
I think at the time, like Hollerboard was definitely the main one, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was on like some like undergroundhiphop.com, which is where I worked, like coming out of, because when I lived in Boston still, like after I graduated, I was like touring with like all like Ed OG and like all the like main rappers out of Boston. And I worked at undergroundhiphop.com and like was doing mixtapes for them that were like Best of Madlib, you know, Best of Ninth Wonder, all these like theme mixtapes that like would go all over the world because they had a huge like online shipping thing and people would get a free mixtape with their orders. And not part of my job, I was packing orders. So I'm like, oh, this is going to Norway, you get a Jayceeoh mix. Going to Africa, you get a, you know, so I got to like spread my shit like that. So I was still real, you know, heavily tied into the rap scene.
Yeah.
So it was really like Hollerboard and the undergroundhiphop.com.
When did you start producing?
I mean, I always like kind of produced, like in high school I had an MPC, but I always put DJing first because it was just like instant gratification. Producing is such a fucking long game.
Yeah.
So like in this era, I was more like, you know, making mixtapes with a lot of like blends and like edits and chopping shit up, which is, you know, it is producing, but not like from scratch type shit. So like I got really good at that in like the New York era. And then when after I won VH1 Master of the Mix, like I won a shit ton of money and I was living in LA and I'm like kind of at the top tier of like club DJs and Vegas shit, but it was just like, you know, kind of soulless DJing to like generic crowds. I was like, I want to play festivals, like I want to be an artist. Like I guess I got to make fucking songs, you know. Yeah. So like I was able to because I made so much off the show to like step back from club DJing and really focus on producing and kind of rebrand and just like put out a shit ton of music to like gain the respect of the scene as like not just like, oh, this is another like hip hop DJ trying to produce some trap shit, you know, like I had to like earn my stripes and it took a while, you know, I had to put out like 40 fucking tracks to like people were like, all right, he's for real, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's been a long haul.
Do you remember playing at Sway?
100%.
Yeah. And what are your memories of Sway?
I mean, my memories of Sweat are standing right there, fucking sweaty as hell, awkward, DJ booth, laptop position, like potentially knocking shit over, people in your face asking for shit, tapping on walls, just rowdy as fuck. Like, I remember the energy in that room being like insane and like completely open to wherever musically I wanted to take it, you know?
Yeah.
And that was just like, I remember it just being such a fun, you know, open space to play like the dopest, newest, coolest shit you could find, you know?
Yeah. What other parties were you playing besides, not just in New York, but
Like I was one of the first dudes, like, well, around the inception of the do-over in Los Angeles. Like I remember playing that like the first time I ever played it. It was like me, Dame Funk, J Rock, like Redmatic, just like the quintessential like LA fucking people that I idolized, you know,
yeah.
coming up, and I was like playing right in the middle of them, and just like I was definitely part of that original crew. I mean, obviously in New York, like good people shit, you know, whatever Katie was doing, I was down with. There was a dope party. Oh, and in Vancouver at Faction Sound Club, they had like a really good scene there of like a, you know, steezy kind of like the same
yeah.
kind of cast of characters from like our New York scene and like that kind of,
Did
know,
you see Fortune Sound?
Fortune Sound Club, yeah.
Yeah, I played there too. But you played in Dallas with Sober and Select.
Yeah, I played in Dallas. I played, you know, a bunch in Austin, like the whole South by Southwest circuit. Like, you know,
we did that together.
Yeah, we had times in South by. Like I remember I threw my like, yeah, spare beats.
And this was cool because we were booked on like the media portion of South by. Do you remember? Right. And like, we were like, what do we do?
Like none of our friends were there yet. Everyone comes from
but we went for one night and saw, what's his name?
His name Flying Lotus.
Yeah, Flying Lotus. Remember that? And we were both like, holy shit, this is dope.
I vaguely remember that, but it definitely sounds right.
I mean, I'm assuming you also played the Rub many times.
I actually never played the Rub.
What?
Yeah. I feel like I was hated, right? And I kind of have a grudge against that. Like, how the fuck have I not played the Rub?
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
I think I like might have hopped on like randomly, like, but I never like had my own set there, which is a fucking crime against humanity.
Yeah, it is. It is. What are some other brands or institutions, promoters, DJs that you think were like pushing the needle?
Right. Well, I was definitely like super down with 10 Deep early and like doing photo shoots for them, and like definitely did some of their parties at like Magic and Agenda, like those type of trade shows. What other brands? Like Rocksmith. I was down with those dudes. Yeah, definitely Turntable Lab. I used to, like my first mixtapes, I'd bring in hard copies, you know, sell them through the actual store and the online store, which was like, you know, that was like at that point I was like, my shit's on Turntable Lab, like shit's popping.
I made it.
That was like the shit back then.
When did you switch to Serato?
I don't know the exact year, but I remember I was resistant for a while because I was just like scared of like, I'm going to get there, the shit's not going to work. Like I know if I put the needle to the record, someone's going to be there, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember once I transitioned, it was just like, you know, just the possibilities are so endless because, you know, finding one fucking record through hundreds of fucking things versus typing 3 letters and oh, there it is, you know? you just go so many directions. So it just like really lengthened the arms of DJs to really do a lot more.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Especially like for me, because I'm like a come from like a battle DJ technical standpoint with cue points and looping. It was just like I was just able to do so much more, you know. So it really elevated my game like a
Yeah.
lot.
What were some other people that changed your trajectory?
Definitely you know, you wrote for me and booked me on a bunch of stuff like Katie, Good Peoples, you know, my brother, you know, Ben and Fubs having Beautiful Decay was a big outlet for me because they would throw these great parties with dope budgets and have like really sick headliners. So I'd be able to, you know, rock stuff like that. I feel like that was like kind of like the core people that like looked out for me,
Yeah.
you know, at that in that era. And everything else was just like me going out and networking with X, Y, and Z to try and get some random club gig to make money. But trying to think, I mean, obviously, like, you know, Equal and Joey from Taste would look out. Equal is still one of my best friends to this day. It's just like my time in New York feels like another life, you know? It was so long ago, but it was like so formative for,
Yeah.
you know, DJ and artist.
Yeah, definitely like nightlife in New York is one of those experiences that like I mean you could literally go out every single night and find something new and
And,
discover a new
yeah.
song or meet a new person. Like it's just it's a
And in terms of like influential, like the Rub, even though like they fronted on booking me for whatever reason, like like what they were doing was like very inspirational, you know, and like motivated me to like, you know, even though I wasn't part of it, you know, I was like, all right, I need to fucking step my game up to
yeah.
like not even like technically or whatever, but just like to build something that's like that, like a whole vibe that's just like it doesn't matter who's playing there. Like people are going to the Rub, you know, and that type of thing. It's just like your parties, you know, people are going to Sway because it's Sway. You know what I'm saying? Like the lineup, obviously people care about, but people are going no matter what. So
Yeah.
that was always like inspirational. And you know, for me, coming from like a you know a battle hip hop DJ first, you know, like seeing other people do dope shit and kill shit, like inspires me. I'm like, all right, well, I got to figure out how to top that, you know. So that all seeing all that, even you know, just being around other people doing different shit who are getting love for it was, you know, inspirational for me to take bits and pieces, incorporate it into my style, you know.
How do you think all of that has impacted now?
That was like such a pure, formative like era of music, you know, pre social media, pre like clout chasing. It was just like, are you dope? You know, was the main thing, you know. So that, you know, just bred like I'm sure all the people you're, you know, from Mark Ronson to Diplo to fucking, you know, all these people who have gone on to do such amazing, you know, influential things on a global scale where their whole shit was formed in this scene, you know? And it's just was such an honest time for like all these dope people to meet and just be influenced by each other. It was just pretty much a magical time that won't ever exist because everything now is just so, you know, fake and clout driven and just like actual talent and like, you know, skill is like, you know, it's taken into account, but it's if your numbers aren't good, like people don't care, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like it was a fucking golden age of music for sure.
Yeah. I know that's definitely something that has come up a lot with, you know, just everything was very spontaneous and it was just like about pure talent. Whereas,
It was a genuine time.
you know, we had Hollerboard was like more community based. Like I don't know why that doesn't exist. And when follower based social media became a thing, it really just changed the
Yeah.
landscape.
It's just the way people communicate is just because people don't like they're like if they have something dope, they don't I mean, there are kind of things like vaguely like that, but it's not like a board, you know. Like there'll be like you know, like there's a thing called like the super thread where it's like all the top artists like share their new music, but it's not like an open discussion. It's just like people download it and don't say shit, you know.
This is
It's good to
awesome.
talk to you, your
Yeah,
face again.
you too. I know. It's been a long time.
All right.
All right, cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.